Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we're going to be comparing the all-new Cadillac Escalade to the all-new GMC Yukon Denali Ultimate. Before getting into this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the National GMC here in American Fork, Utah for giving me some time with both of these vehicles. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you need any help or have any questions, just ask for David. And if you want to compare these for yourself, then well, National GMC has both of them. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Starting on the hood with the Yukon, we have a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It is good for 420 horsepower and then 460 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being in the mid-teens for your overall average. And the Escalade has the same exact powertrain, nothing's changed. Before we go over the front ends, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting with the Yukon, we have the distinctive raised portions on either side of the hood and then the C-shaped daytime running lights with the LED headlamps, fog lights down below, and then you guys can see parking sensors there at the bottom. Notice the coloration on the grille, how it's darker, and then you've got kind of like more of a, not quite a satin finish, but I guess a brushed finish on a lot of the trim is a better way to put it, and just massive front grille. Contrasting that with the Escalade, the hood is actually raised on either side just like the Yukon, but I feel like the overall front end design is a little bit more simplistic with what's happening. You've got the headlights here, giant daytime running light turn signal, and then you guys can see parking sensors on the front end, massive grille just like the Yukon, but again, everything just looks a little bit more simplistic on the Escalade. I think this becomes really apparent when you put them next to each other like this, where you can really see how, you know, the Yukon has quite a bit more going on than the Escalade. Let me know which one you like the look of more. With Yukon, our tire wheel setup is 275 50 22 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see with the wheel design, you've got the like bright chrome mixed with some silver, quite a bit happening. We do have air suspension as well as magnetic ride control with this. And then we take a few steps back, you guys can see the full side profile here with the chrome trim around the windows, a little bit of chrome trim on the door handles, but again, notice everything's kind of a little bit darker. And this one actually has crossbars on the top, which is pretty cool. With the Escalade, we have the exact same tire and wheel setup, so 275 50 22 in the front and over in the rear. Now this one also has magnetic ride control, but it does not have air suspension. And taking a few steps back, again, I feel like the design's a little bit more simplistic with what's happening. You do have some distinctive lines going across. This one has fixed running boards, and there you go. Now I want you guys to guess which key fob is for which vehicle, and well, this one is for the Yukon and this one is for the Escalade. Notice the functionality on both of them is identical, so remote start, opening for the window, opening for just the hatch, and really the only difference is you notice that curved part on the Cadillac key fob, whereas the GMC key fob doesn't have that, and then obviously different emblems on the back. Popping in the back of the Yukon, we have a decent amount of storage space behind the third row. And then you guys can see here with the controls to lower down the second row, the third row you can raise and lower automatically. And then we do have a little bit of storage space underneath. The cargo net's kind of getting in the way, so you guys can't see that very well. Now this is the regular Yukon. You can also get an XL, which is a little bit longer. The Escalade has the exact same cargo area in the back with the same seat controls, storage space, and again, you can also get the Escalade in a little bit of a longer package, so you have more storage space behind the third row. When it comes to rear design, I think the Yukon looks pretty good on the back side of things. I do like the C-shaped taillights, and then the badges are pretty chunky. I do love the exhaust tips, pretty aggressive overall. Contrasting that with the Escalade, again, the design's a little bit more simplistic here in the rear, but something that's really cool is you have this taillight dance that it'll do. So it's kind of what you get for paying the extra money for an Escalade. Parking sensors there on the back. And then something that's funny to mention is the Cadillac emblem is actually how you open up the hatch, whereas that one just has a regular popper there at the bottom. So kind of interesting. Popping inside the Yukon Denali Ultimate, this is where things get real fancy. Look at the material use on this door panel. I love the cross stitching. I think that looks fantastic, just all the controls. And then you can see we've got power steps, and then look at these seats. And apparently this is like the trail map for the Denali Mountain, which is pretty cool. Something like that. I probably got that wrong. Anyways, you've got all your seat adjustments, TVs here on the back, and then you guys can see here with the cup holders, climate controls, heated seats for the rear. And then I will pop in just for a second. Really comfortable seats, and you guys can see tons of room. And then as for the third row, it's just as nice as the second with the overall design. And you can fit adults back there very comfortably. With the Escalade, it actually doesn't have a traditional door handle. It's electronic release, which is kind of interesting to say the least. But in terms of the design, it, again, is kind of more simplistic. Really nice material use, though. And then you can see with these leather seats. And then notice, again, all the adjustments are the same. No TVs on the back with this. But we've got climate controls here for the rear. And you can see the whole setup right there. And then the rear seats, really nice too, just like the second row seats. So pretty similar, just kind of more of like a, you know, old school luxury appearance with just everything like all blacked out, I suppose. Now popping to the front of the Yukon, you can see the front door panel just as nice as the rear with the material use. Automatic windows, power folding mirrors, you know, all the normal stuff. Then we have speakers in the headrest for the front seats. Kind of looks like a bug head. It says Ultimate on it. Massaging seat function. And actually popping in, notice we've got a bunch of controls here. Main stuff, you got like hill descent control, you get your lane keep assist, you can turn off, 360 camera, drive line select down mode, or down below. We've got our drive mode select as well, air suspension, light controls, trailer brake controls, that's for the heads up display. And if we start it up, we got this cool full digital gauge cluster, as you can see. And on top of that, with the steering wheel, you guys can see really nice material use. We have Super Cruise with this as well. And then popping into reverse, we do have a full 360 camera system here with the Denali Ultimate. And infotainment system is really solid. It's easy to use. So first off, let's go in demo mode. Response time's great. Sorry about the lighting in this shot, by the way. But anyways, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto has a shortcut bar there on the side. We've got a bunch of like switches for the gear selection. And then down below, you guys can see radio controls. And then this does have dual zone climate, heated and cooled seats. Got a wireless phone charging pad. And look at the center console here. Kind of more of like a traditional setup for like a truck-based SUV. Look at like the wood trim here at the top. That's really nice. And then got the glove box. And then last few things, this does have a camera mirror setup. And then we do have a full panoramic sunroof here at the top. Controls like the sunroof, the seats at the top as well, and there you go. Now contrasting that with the Escalade, you can see here again with the door panel setup, all of the windows are automatic in the Escalade, which is pretty cool. You got your power folding mirror function. Notice the heated and cooled seat function here on the door panel. And you'll notice that with the controls, speakers in the headrest, a lot of the controls are the same, but just in different places. You can see there. And then it doesn't look like this one has massaging seats. Double check the infotainment system. And then you got our drive line select right here at the drive mode select. Trailer brake controls, parking brake. Stop start button though, in the same place. Full digital gauge cluster, just like the Yukon. And then notice it does have this cool like side screen here where you can basically look at different stuff. So like, for example, can change it and we can do like the augmented reality camera in the center. So you have some cool tech features in this that you don't have in the Yukon. And then the infotainment system does look quite a bit different. So first off, if I pop it into reverse, same 360 camera system, pretty much just on a different screen, basically. And so you'll notice that with this vehicle that a lot of the functionality is the same. It just looks basically slightly different compared to the Yukon. And then we've got all of our switches here for the climate controls down below. And then you guys can see here with the shifter. So a little bit different. You don't have the buttons, have kind of more of like a normal shifter. And this is a dial to control the infotainment system if you don't use a touchscreen. You can see underneath the wood trim, got some cup holders, all that. And it looks nice. Center console is definitely a bit different. Wireless phone charging pad in front of it. And then you guys can see here with like the vents and everything, interesting. There's your glove box. We'll actually see what this originally cost. That'll be interesting. And then look at the leather trim on the dash. Really cool design. We got the camera mirror with this. And then we've got a panoramic sunroof just like on the Yukon. Got all the controls for the sunroof there at the top. Now, if we spec out an Escalade to have similar features as what this Yukon has, so, you know, like the air suspension, Super Cruise, all that, you're going to be well over 6 figures, whereas with this Yukon, $96,000 fully loaded. So first off, I apologize for some of the crappy lighting in today's video. I don't know what it is, but sometimes the fall sunlight just absolutely sucks for videos. Anyways, when it comes to summing things up with this comparison, here's the deal. I do like the Escalade styling slightly more than the Yukon styling. I think that it just overall is a more beautiful vehicle, which makes sense because it's more expensive. That being said though, I actually like the Yukon interior more. Now the Escalade interior, you can definitely tell they try a little bit harder to make it feel more luxury based, but I don't know, that Yukon interior with the Denali Ultimate package just feels a little bit more exciting, a little bit more special, and the seats are actually as comfortable, if not more comfortable, compared to the Escalade seats. They drive completely the same if you have both the vehicles equipped with air suspension and the magnetic ride control, which again, the Denali Ultimate comes standard with that, whereas on this Escalade package, it's going to be an option. And of course, that person's honking the horn again for like the 5th time. Anyways, as I was saying, what I would do if it were my money is probably go for the Yukon over the Escalade, despite the fact that I do prefer the styling on the Escalade. It's just so much more money, and I don't feel like I'm getting any extra benefit by getting the Escalade over the Yukon, other than the fact that I guess that it is a much more like status symbol-y type vehicle. Like if I pull up in an Escalade, people are probably going to think I'm more of a baller than if I pull up in a Yukon. But if you're looking at just pure value and luxury, yeah, the Yukon is the clear winner. That'll sum things up. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the National GMC here in American Fork, Utah for giving me some time with both of the vehicles. Check out the info in the description down below. Ask for David. I'll see ya.